Pretty much ready to go?
Yeah.
Cool. Hi, this is Tyler here with Vortic Watch Company, and today we're going to talk about what is a milling machine. I'm standing in front of our 3-axis CNC mills from Haas. Haas is an American manufacturer, but really what makes a mill is the fact that it has a spinning tool that comes in and shaves material away from things like this titanium puck right here. So this is a 3-axis mill, kind of the most basic form of a mill. It's got 3 axes. So it's got an x-axis, the table moves like that, a y-axis, where the table's moving like that, and then a z-axis, where the spindle can move up and down. And so we use this machine to make all of our watch cases right now. And yeah, the actual parts themselves are not moving, they're stationary. So it's just got these 3 axes. The way a milling machine primarily cuts parts is with an end mill. And these end mills are kind of like a drill bit, but they are made for side cutting. So this will come into your material as it's spinning and make chips as it contacts the material and shaves material away. So that's about it for the basic core concept of what is a mill on a 3-axis machine like this. I mean, if you're using like a handheld router to shave, wood or something, you're basically acting as a mill. And CNC routers are mills. So, all right, so this is also a mill, shaped a little bit differently. This is the first CNC machine that we bought back in 2017. It's a Haas Super Mini Mill. As you can see, it's a little bit different, but the concept is still the same. We have a spinning tool in the spindle, and this tool will come in and cut the different parts. The tool changer on this machine is a little bit different, how it changes the tools out, how it gets rid of the chips. It has a different amount of horsepower, different size table, but very similar concept. This table can move in X and Y, and the spindle can move in Z. So it's a 3-axis mill. One way that this machine is a little bit different than the VM2 that we just showed you is that this machine has a 4th axis on it. So this is a 4-axis machine. We use our 4th axis on this machine primarily to use tombstones. That's what we call these things, and this will spin. So we can cut, instead of just 3 parts at a time, I have 4 sides on this tombstone, so it will spin and cut those parts, and then it will spin again, or index, and then cut those parts, and so on. So this is not a native 4-axis machine, but it is a 3-axis machine with a 4th axis on it. And that's the mini mill. All right, so now I'm standing in front of one of our newer machines. Even though this is a used machine, it's very new to us. And what makes this machine different is that it's a 5-axis mill. Still the same concept. It's got a spinning tool in the spindle. The spindle moves up and down and left and right, so it's got 3 axes there. But the thing that makes a 5-axis mill different is the table. So the table on this machine can spin and spin this way. So it's got a C axis and a B axis. So X, Y, Z, C, and B. 5 axes total. Something that makes this machine a little bit more fancy than those other Haas machines is, first of all, it's got a much larger tool magazine. So all 3 of these machines have automatic tool changers, so they can switch in between different tools. This machine has 60 tool changer, Our VM2 has 30 tools, and our mini mill only has 10. So you can kind of see the differences between the machines. But besides being a 5-axis mill, this machine is kind of a different tier of machine than those Haas machines. This has what's called scales on it. The way that those machines move the table and the axes around is with ball screws. And those ball screws have a stepper motor at the end. And on the Haas machines, that motor has an encoder on it, and it sees where that encoder is, how far it's spun, and the control interprets the location of where the table should be. Something on higher end machines like this DMG Mori right here is it has scales. So it's actually measuring where things are at, not how far the motors have spun. And that will counteract differences from heat and all different things to make ultimately more accurate parts. But yeah, another reason, or another way all three of these machines are different is the spindle speed, the overall spindle speed. So our mini mill, an average mill is probably around 3,000 RPMs. And the reason that matters is, oh geez, how complicated do I get? Yeah, so the reason that matters is when you're making smaller parts, faster is better. Without getting too complicated, faster is better when you're spinning very small tools. So we started with our mini mill at 10,000 RPMs and a lower horsepower spindle. Then we moved up to our VM2 with a 12,000 RPM spindle with even more horsepower. And now we have this machine, which has an 18,000 RPM spindle with kind of a crazy amount of horsepower. So the concept stays the same. We have a spinning tool in the spindle. The amount of axes change. The orientation of the machines change. The tool changers change. The controls change. But all three of these machines are all mills. All right, now we're standing in front of a couple of our smaller machines. This machine is also a 5-axis machine. This is made by Pocket NC, actually in Montana, not too far from us. And it still has a spinning bit. And then your part, the thing that you're working on, sits here, and this table spins, and this whole table rotates like this. We use this machine for small parts prototyping and things of that nature. But this is what you would call a horizontal machining center, a horizontal 5-axis machine, because the spindle is horizontal instead of vertical. The three previous machines are all vertical milling centers, both 3, 4, and 5-axis like we discussed. The last mill that we have in this shop is this manual machine right here made by Sherline. This machine came from California, and this is basically the most simple form of a lathe or a mill that you can get. So this is a 3-axis mill, and on a manual machine as opposed to a CNC machine, this is all controlled by hand. So I will rotate these different hand joggers to move this table. But we still have 1, 2, and 3 axis. And this is the machine that I used to make. I used to post machine our 3D printed watch cases on. For example, this watch on my wrist was actually made on this machine. And just like the mini mill has a rotary, a 4th axis on it, we have a rotary on this thing too. The only difference is it's hand operated. But concept is the same. You have a spinning tool, and this spinning tool will come in and shave material away from your part. It's just how it's actuated. CNC machines come in all shapes and sizes, from very small to machines that are as large as this room. Anywhere from horizontal, vertical. Some machines have multiple spindles that are making multiple parts at once, swiveling heads. They really come in all shapes and sizes. The important thing is that you have a spinning tool, most commonly an end mill, and a stationary part that you're shaving material away from. And in a nutshell, that is what a mill is.